Have you ever truly stopped and wondered what the real secret to attracting a woman is? And no, I'm not talking about the usual things most people automatically assume. I'm not referring to flashy possessions, perfect looks, or any of those superficial qualities that society has conditioned us to obsess over. In fact, I can assure you with absolute certainty that what most men believe is essential often isn't what actually matters. What I'm about to share with you is something deeper, something timeless, something that many women, especially those with the wisdom that comes from living through decades of relationships, experiences, and observations, understand at a level that very few men ever do. Today, together, we're going to uncover one of the most overlooked truths about attraction, intimacy, and connection. Truths that women in their 70s, 80s, and beyond already know, and that men often learn too late. Let me begin with a story. A few years ago, I had the privilege of meeting a woman I often call the grandmother of wisdom. She was 82 at the time, sharp, full of energy, and carried herself with the kind of clarity that only comes from having seen it all. One afternoon, during a conversation about love, intimacy, and what truly lasts in a relationship, she told me something that changed the way I see attraction forever. With a mischievous but knowing smile, she said, "Size doesn't matter. But personal care? That's everything." That one phrase stopped me in my tracks. It was so simple and yet so profound that it immediately reframed how I understood attraction between men and women. What made her insight unforgettable wasn't just the words themselves, but the way she illustrated her point. She explained that men who know how to take care of themselves, men who pay attention to the little details others might overlook, will always be admired by women. Not just noticed, but genuinely admired. She leaned in and said, "Those are the men who stand out, the men we trust, the men we feel drawn to." And believe me, once she said it, I realized how much truth was packed into that seemingly small statement. But don't take this just as the wisdom of one older woman. Modern research backs her up. For example, studies conducted at New York University have shown that older women consistently rate self-care as one of the most important factors when evaluating men, often placing it far above traits like physique, status, or appearance. This is where things get interesting, because these aren't shallow preferences. They reveal something deeper. The idea that attraction is rooted less in what you were born with and more in how you present yourself, how you value yourself, and how you make others feel in your presence. So in this video, I'm going to take you through a journey. We're going to debunk myths that men have held on to for generations. I'm going to share with you practical wisdom that usually only comes with age and experience. And by the end, I promise you'll walk away with a brand new perspective on attraction. One that can change not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. We'll explore the little but crucial details that transform how you're perceived and how you connect with your partner. And trust me, it all goes far beyond the physical. Before we dive in, if this is your very first time on my channel, let me officially welcome you. My name is Karen, and I created this space to openly discuss the kinds of topics that matter deeply to our relationships, our well-being, and our personal growth. If you find value in conversations like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin with the very first lesson. The secret of attraction beyond size. Number 1. The secret of attraction beyond size. I know exactly what many of you are thinking when you hear the word size. It's the first thing that comes to mind for most men, because culture, media, and locker room conversations have turned it into an obsession. But here's the truth you might not expect to hear. Size isn't what really matters. What truly makes a lasting difference is how you take care of yourself. It's really that simple. And once you understand this, you begin to see attraction in a completely new light. Women, especially as they gain more life experience, don't fall for flashy illusions. They value the details that reflect care, respect, and intentionality. And one of the first and most important signals of that care is hygiene. Now, when I say hygiene, I don't just mean hopping in the shower for 2 minutes before heading out. I'm talking about having a thoughtful personal care routine that shows you value yourself. Imagine this scenario. You've planned a date night. You're looking forward to spending time together, but you haven't really paid attention to the finer details. Maybe you rushed through your grooming, skipped the moisturizer, ignored that subtle but noticeable body odor that lingers. Trust me when I say those details don't go unnoticed. For many women, those little oversights can change everything about how attractive or unattractive you appear. There's actual science behind this. Numerous studies show that smell is one of the most powerful subconscious factors in human attraction. In fact, an article published in the Journal of Social Psychology found that body odor plays a crucial role in how people perceive potential partners. Think about that. It's not about buying the most expensive cologne or covering yourself in synthetic scents. What really matters is maintaining the kind of natural freshness that only comes from consistent daily care. Simple choices like using the right soap, choosing skincare products that actually suit your skin, and paying attention to the areas that are easy to neglect all make a massive difference. And here's something men, over 50 especially, need to remember. As your body changes with age, your skin, including the skin in intimate areas, becomes more sensitive and more prone to irritation. That means that a one-size-fits-all approach to hygiene no longer works. This is where pH-neutral soaps, gentle cleansers, and hydrating creams specifically designed for delicate areas come into play. This isn't about vanity, it's about comfort, respect, and ensuring that you're taking care of yourself in ways that not only make you feel good, but also make your partner want to be closer to you. Another crucial aspect is grooming. Whether you choose to shave, trim, or simply maintain, the point isn't about adhering to one universal standard, it's about showing that you put thought into it. Grooming isn't only about aesthetics, it's about hygiene, comfort, and yes, respect. Respect for yourself and respect for the person you're with. When a woman notices you've put that effort in, it communicates something powerful, that you value not only how you look and feel, but also how you show up for her. Think of it this way. What's more pleasant? Spending time with someone who looks and feels fresh, or with someone who clearly hasn't given those details a second thought? The answer is obvious. And yet, so many men overlook this because they're preoccupied with insecurities that don't matter nearly as much. The grandmother of wisdom was right. Attraction is less about size and far more about presence, care, and effort. Number 2, keep everything in its place. Now that we've established the importance of self-care and hygiene, let's move into an area that few men ever openly talk about: taking care of what's between your legs. Yes, I said it, your testicles. It might sound surprising, maybe even a little uncomfortable, but hear me out because this piece of advice is far more important than you probably think. During one of our conversations, the grandmother of wisdom looked me straight in the eye and said, "Sometimes men think women don't notice, but trust me, we do. A man who takes care of his whole body, even the parts he assumes are invisible, is a man who understands the details. And that, more than anything, is attractive." That insight stuck with me. It wasn't about perfection, and it certainly wasn't about vanity. It was about awareness, effort, and attention. Let's be honest for a moment. How often do you really think about the comfort of that area during your daily routine? Probably not very often, but discomfort there doesn't just affect you physically, it affects how you carry yourself. A man who spends half his day adjusting himself because his underwear is too tight or poorly chosen isn't exactly projecting confidence or composure. And women notice that. They notice not only your body language, but also the energy you give off when you're either comfortable or uncomfortable in your own skin. So what's the solution? The grandmother's advice was simple yet brilliant. Choose underwear that allows you to breathe. Skip the overly tight, constricting garments that leave you feeling uncomfortable all day long. Instead, opt for soft, breathable fabrics like cotton, something that keeps you orderly without suffocating you. She used to say it with a playful smirk. Give it space, but keep it in place. And honestly, that's wisdom every man could benefit from. But it doesn't stop there. Hygiene in that area is equally crucial. This is where many men make mistakes. It's not about obsessing or overdoing it. It's about being consistent, thorough, and intentional. That means a proper wash during your shower, making sure you dry carefully afterwards, and maintaining daily freshness. It might sound simple, but it's exactly these small habits that create the foundation for attraction and intimacy. As the grandmother said bluntly, if a man doesn't care about keeping that area clean, trust me, he's not going to get the kind of attention he's hoping for. When you think about it, it all makes sense. Personal care in intimate areas isn't just for you, it's for your partner too. It sends a clear signal. I respect myself, and I respect you enough to show up at my best. And when you feel comfortable, when you know you've taken care of those details, that confidence radiates through everything else you do. It's not about what you wear, it's about how you carry yourself because you know you've taken the time to get it right. And that brings us perfectly to the third point, one that might just challenge one of the longest-standing myths men hold on to. Number 3, shape and size. The myth debunked. For generations, men have been burdened with the idea that size is everything. It's a narrative pushed in films, whispered in locker rooms, and reinforced by endless cultural messages. But here's the shocking truth. It's one of the biggest myths in human attraction. And if you don't believe me, believe the laughter of an 82-year-old grandmother who's seen it all. When I once mentioned the topic to her, she burst into laughter, an honest, almost childlike laugh that made it clear just how absurd she found the idea. After catching her breath, she said, "Honey, you have no idea how many men waste their time worrying about something so insignificant. Most of them don't realize that, for us, average is not only fine, it's often far better." That sentence floored me. She wasn't saying it as a gentle reassurance. She meant it. And she wasn't alone. Over the years, I've spoken with countless women who echoed her exact sentiment. Why? Because for many women, it isn't about how much you have. It's about how you use what you have. In fact, a larger size can sometimes create more problems than solutions. Comfort, connection, and emotional intimacy always outweigh raw physical dimensions. The grandmother explained it beautifully. A man who obsesses over size forgets the most important thing, the experience, the connection, the joy of making sure both people are comfortable and enjoying themselves. That's what matters, not the number he has in his head. And she was right. Think about it this way. If you're too focused on whether you measure up physically, you're not paying attention to the signals, needs, and emotions of your partner. You're disconnected. But when you focus instead on technique, sensitivity, and connection, you unlock the real source of attraction. Women value attentiveness, adaptability, and the ability to create comfort and joy far more than they value a number. The grandmother once shared a story about a friend of hers who put it plainly, "I'd rather be with a man who knows what he's doing than one who just assumes size is enough." That wisdom cuts straight to the heart of the matter. Size fades into irrelevance when you understand that what truly counts is presence, skill, and consideration. And here's the empowering part. Every man can cultivate that. You don't need to change your body. You need to change your focus. A man who is attentive, who listens, who adjusts to what his partner needs becomes unforgettable. And that brings us to the next crucial truth, the importance of confidence and skill. Number 4, confidence and skill, the true attraction. If there's one lesson I hope every man takes to heart, it's this one. Nothing is more attractive to a woman than genuine confidence combined with skill. And no, I don't mean the shallow kind of confidence you put on as a mask. I'm not talking about arrogance or bravado. I'm talking about a quiet, grounded inner security, the kind that comes from truly knowing who you are and trusting your ability to create a meaningful, pleasurable experience for the woman you're with. The grandmother of wisdom said it best: physical attraction fades. Youth fades too. But a man who knows who he is, who's confident in making a woman feel valued and happy, he will always be desired. Those words hold so much truth. At any age, what women are drawn to isn't surface level. It's the calm assurance of a man who is comfortable in his own skin and attentive to his partner's needs. And here's the secret. That kind of confidence isn't something you fake. It doesn't come from pretending. It comes from skill, from knowing how to connect, how to listen, how to respond, and how to create an environment where both of you can enjoy the experience. When you're focused on your partner instead of your insecurities, that shift radiates confidence like nothing else. The grandmother compared it to dancing. She said, "It doesn't matter if you have 2 left feet. What matters is how you make the person you're dancing with feel. Attraction, intimacy, pleasure, it's all a dance. And when you pay attention to your partner's rhythm, when you adapt to her signals, when you prioritize connection over performance, that's when the magic happens." And let me tell you something important. When you have that kind of confidence, it's contagious. A man who is relaxed, who isn't obsessing over whether he's doing everything right or wrong, creates the same sense of ease in his partner. She relaxes too. She enjoys more. And together, you build a moment that feels natural, free, and deeply satisfying. The grandmother used to smile and say, confidence in bed is like a good conversation. It's not about shouting to be heard. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen. A man who knows how to balance those moments, who's not afraid to ask what his partner likes, who's willing to learn and grow with each experience, that's a man who becomes unforgettable. Because in the end, women don't remember the insecurities you carried. They remember the connection you created. Number 5, communication and empathy. The art of connection. If everything we've talked about so far is important, then this final lesson is the heart and soul of it all. Because at the end of the day, attraction, intimacy, and fulfillment in a relationship aren't built solely on hygiene, grooming, confidence, or even skill in the bedroom. Those things matter, yes, but they are only the surface. The foundation, the element that makes all the difference, is the emotional connection you create with your partner. And that connection is built through 2 often underestimated qualities: communication and empathy. The grandmother of wisdom would often lean back, smile knowingly, and say, "Listen, dear, pleasure runs much deeper when there is communication. The best way to make someone happy is to understand what they want. And the only way to understand is to think about that for a moment." So many men spend their lives guessing. They assume that what works for them will work for their partner, or they rely on half-truths picked up from friends, media, or past encounters. But the reality is that every woman is unique. What one woman may love, another might find uncomfortable, and what one finds thrilling, another might barely notice. Without communication, you are operating in the dark, hoping you stumble into the right answers. With communication, you create clarity, trust, and intimacy. And the beauty of it is that communication doesn't have to be heavy or awkward. It doesn't require dramatic sit-down talks where everything is dissected like a therapy session. Instead, it can flow naturally, seamlessly, and even playfully. It can be a whisper in her ear, a question asked in the right moment, or a relaxed conversation shared afterward when you're both comfortable and open. The grandmother always emphasized that women appreciate effort. She used to say, "A man who takes the time to ask what I like, who listens and is willing to learn. That's the man who stays in my memory, not the one who thought he already knew it all." This lesson isn't just about physical intimacy. It extends to every part of a relationship. Communication means being curious about your partner, being willing to understand her moods, her fears, her dreams, and her desires. It means taking time to listen, not only when it's easy, but especially when it's difficult. It means asking questions, showing genuine interest, and creating a space where she feels safe enough to share her truth. And empathy, the twin sister of communication, is what makes those conversations meaningful. Empathy is the ability to place yourself in her shoes, to imagine her experience, and to respond with care rather than defensiveness. Many men, for reasons that often trace back to pride or social conditioning, shy away from these conversations. They fear they'll appear inexperienced or that talking about intimacy will kill the mystery. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, when couples break through the barrier of silence and learn to talk openly, everything changes. Doubts vanish, insecurities fade, misunderstandings give way to clarity, and pleasure, intimacy, and connection all rise to new levels. The grandmother told me once, with that spark in her eye that never seemed to dim, when a couple learns to talk about what they like, everything improves. There are no more doubts, no more questions, no more guessing games. They just enjoy more because they finally know she wasn't exaggerating. I've heard countless stories of couples who, after years together, finally decided to have an honest conversation about their intimacy, and were astonished to discover they were more aligned than they'd ever imagined. But until they talked, it was all hidden under assumptions. Communication is powerful because it transforms the relationship from a place of silent expectations to a place of mutual discovery. It shifts the focus from, "Am I doing this right?" to "What do we enjoy together?" That subtle but powerful shift is what turns good relationships into extraordinary ones. And it's not just about asking questions, but also about listening without judgment. Women notice when you care enough to ask, but they notice even more when you listen with an open heart. Breaking the taboo of talking about intimacy. One of the reasons communication feels uncomfortable for so many people is because intimacy is still surrounded by taboo. We've been conditioned not to talk about it openly, to treat it as something mysterious or even shameful. But here's the thing. When you strip away the fear of talking about intimacy, you remove the biggest barrier to deeper connection. The grandmother often said, "The more comfortable you are talking about it, the more comfortable you'll be enjoying it." And she was right. Think about how many couples go through years, even decades, without ever having a direct conversation about what truly pleases them. They dance around the subject, they make assumptions, and they live with silent dissatisfaction that could easily be resolved with a few honest words. But when you open that door, everything changes. The awkwardness you fear disappears faster than you think, replaced by curiosity, laughter, and sometimes even a sense of relief. Talking about intimacy also shows vulnerability, and vulnerability is one of the most powerful bonding forces in any relationship. When you're willing to open up, to admit what you like, what you're unsure of, and what you want to explore, you create a space where your partner feels safe to do the same. And once both of you are free to express yourselves, the level of connection, trust, and satisfaction multiplies beyond anything surface-level attraction could ever provide. The grandmother used to say, "Couples who talk are couples who last. Couples who don't drift apart." It's a bold statement, but the older I get, the more I see how true it is. Lack of communication doesn't just affect the bedroom, it ripples into every area of life together. Silent frustrations in intimacy often grow into distance in everyday life. But couples who keep communication alive, even when it's difficult, find that they grow closer, not further apart. Attraction that lasts a lifetime. By now, you've probably noticed a theme running through everything we've discussed. Attraction isn't about fleeting qualities. It isn't about youth or size or perfect appearances. Those things are temporary and in many ways out of our control. What truly matters are the things within your control: how you care for yourself, how you show up for your partner, the confidence you project, the skill you develop, and the connection you build through communication and empathy. When you put it all together, you see the bigger picture. Attraction isn't about impressing someone for a moment. It's about creating an experience, a feeling, a memory that lingers. The men who become unforgettable aren't necessarily the best looking, the wealthiest, or the youngest. They are the ones who combine care with confidence, attentiveness with skill, and openness with empathy. Those are the men who make women feel seen, valued, and desired. The grandmother of wisdom taught me that these qualities don't fade with age. In fact, they become more important as time goes on. Youth will pass, appearances will change, but the ability to connect, to care, to communicate, and to share intimacy with presence and empathy, those qualities only deepen with time if you nurture them. She used to say, "Attraction that's built on appearance fades. Attraction that's built on connection lasts a lifetime." So here we are at the end of our journey, and I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. Everything I've shared with you today isn't just theory, and it isn't just my personal opinion. It comes from the accumulated wisdom of someone who lived, observed, and loved for over 8 decades. It comes from the voice of a grandmother who saw through illusions and spoke the kind of truths most people are too afraid to say out loud. Her lessons were clear. Self-care matters more than size, comfort and cleanliness matter more than showing off, skill and attentiveness matter more than insecurity, and communication and empathy matter more than any physical trait. If you can embody these qualities, you will not only attract women, you will keep their admiration, respect, and love for the long term. My name is Karen, and I created this channel as a space where we can talk openly about these kinds of topics. Always with respect, and always with the goal of helping each other grow. Because the truth is, every small change you make in yourself, whether it's adopting a better grooming routine, choosing underwear that makes you feel confident, asking your partner what she enjoys, or simply taking the time to listen, those small changes ripple outward. They improve your relationships, they improve your confidence, and ultimately, they improve your overall quality of life. If this is your first time here, I invite you to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. And if you've stayed with me all the way to the end, it means you care about your personal growth and the quality of your relationships, and that deserves recognition. So to let me know who the true committed ones are, leave a comment down below with the phrase, "I love wisdom." I'll be reading through your comments, and I would love to know who's on this journey with me. And before you go, remember this. Sometimes the advice that makes the biggest difference in our lives comes not from experts or textbooks, but from the lived experience of someone who has walked the path before us. Share this video with someone you care about, because you never know, a simple piece of wisdom may be exactly what they need to hear today to see things in a brand new light. I'll see you in the next video.